Well, hello. This is week 6 for Youth Ministry 302 online, and I want to welcome you to this week's lecture, this week's class, and pray that everybody is having a great week so far. So, for me personally, we are doing our kids camp this week. We do a day camp. See, everything's at home this year, but day camp always happens here at Midway. We typically do an overnight camp. We have the last 4 years, but this year, because of COVID-19, we decided to do a day camp. And listen, this is a new kind of tired that I'm feeling today. I mean, I'm exhausted. It's been a good week. I'm thankful to be able to work alongside of our adult chaperones, but also some of these youth that we have in training. We have a pile of kids that have come this year for kids camp, and so would you do me a favor? Would you pray for our week? Would you pray that God would continue to bless our efforts? I mean, we had yesterday for kids day camp. We had 36 kids, and it looks like today we may have a few more that join us. But man, what an awesome opportunity to share the gospel. And what a challenge, too. A challenge with all the different restrictions and things like that. We're trying to do our best to keep kids' distance and things. And the Lord knows our heart. That's all I have to say. The Lord knows our heart. But we're having a good week. And I just wanted to take a few moments to talk to you and get you started for the week. So thank you for taking your midterm. Thank you for joining us last week on Zoom. Had a tremendous conversation. If you would like to hear, if you weren't able to go with us on the Zoom conversation, if you would like to hear most of that conversation, it's available to you. There's a link that I've set up, but it was set up as an announcement. There was a link that was set up there for you to click on. You can watch the Zoom conversation. But I thank you for those that joined us there. What I'm looking to do for week 9. I know I said week 8 I think we were going to try, but week 9, that's the week your projects are due. I would like to have another Zoom conference, and for that, if you wish to present your project, you can do it over Zoom. If you would rather put your project up on the discussion forum, the traditional way, that's certainly fine too, but the Zoom conference, you'll be able to share and get to hear from other students as well. It's your call, totally up to you. I personally think the Zoom conference idea is better because you'll get to interact with other students and you'll get to share your presentation. And I think it's a little more relaxed than trying to make a video and then publish the video and then waiting on people to react. At least with Zoom, we get the chance to ask questions, interact with you on the spot. And if you do it on there, you don't have to worry about that extra step by publishing it on the discussion forum. Totally up to you. It's going to be on week 9, and I'm going to make that due on the Thursday of that week 9. Well, anyhow, we're going to talk about today implementing life-changing events, and so I'm living that right now. For better or for worse, when we're talking about working with children, when we're talking about working with youth, if you plan to fail or fail to plan, you will. If you fail to plan, you will plan to fail, and so or fail to plan. That's it. If you fail to plan, you should plan to fail. Plan to fail, fail to plan. Okay, you know what I'm saying. If you don't have a target, if you don't have an intentionality in the events that you do, you are going to find yourself very exhausted. You're going to find yourself frustrated. You're going to find yourself frustrated with other people. And eventually, I'm talking just in the world of youth men, if you don't have a work ethic and you don't have that drive to do well in the classroom or when you're on an event, you'll be looking for a job. Okay, so I want us to talk about implementing life-changing events, being committed to the details. Now, when you were in youth group, or if you were in youth group as a teen, I want to ask you, do you remember a single event that rose above the others. Now, when I asked this question at Fruitland on campus, man, there's all kinds of responses. They remember camps and retreats, or they remember outings. They remember certain things that made the youth group that they were a part of unique. But what do you remember? Okay, and I guarantee you that if you remember any event that you did while in student ministry as a student, if you remember anything, it's because someone took the time to plan well. Someone took their time and invested time into you, the word in you, spiritual things in you. And so I think about all the events and all the happenings that I've been a part of personally, as a youth leader, and including this very year. Okay, and I've been a part of. I have planned some, and I have worked some really great youth events. And I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm just telling you, I've over the years, I've been a part of some great youth ministry events. Most recently, this past year's this past year's missions camp with our students here at Midway. I I enjoyed it thoroughly. We had a really good week, and we were strictly on the schedule. We tried to have enough help. For the most part, we did. There was only one time. There was only one time where I almost lost it because I was understaffed. For about 8 minutes, I was understaffed. But then the rest of the week, we were. It was just an incredible week. That was a good event. And then just earlier this year, right before COVID broke out, on the Fruitland campus, our youth ministry class, which would have been you, getting to plan and implement one for this quarter. It didn't work out that way. No, it'd be for next quarter. It didn't work out that way, but we did a ministry event for the spring, and blew it out of the water. I mean, like, it was awesome. I was so proud of that class. They did an incredible, incredible job, and I was so thankful for the way that they worked together. It was well done, well planned. But just like I've been a part of youth ministry events that went really well, kids events that went really well, I've also been to some that were incredibly ill prepared. That I came with a group of students, expecting one thing, and it didn't really work out that way, and I left incredibly embarrassed to be there, or I left sorry that I came, or I left sorry for the students, or I left really aggravated that there wasn't a better plan in place. So there's value in planning with purpose. There's value with programming a life changing event, and doing so well. The things that you're a part of, in terms of youth ministry and events and happenings, things like that. The things that you are a part of do reflect your youth ministry as a whole. It reflects your leadership, reflects your ability to administrate. It reflects pastoral ministry. I mean, there's so much there. So I just want to emphasize today the value of planning an event well, and planning an event for the glory of God. So to get us started, I'm not sure that I'm going to take a lot of time today, because one, we've got kids camp coming up, but I wanted to share with you just a few things to remember when we're planning an event on purpose. Okay, and listen, it's like I said from the start, with an online class, it's hard to teach everything without students. So you're not going to get the gist of this lesson unless we work together. Because what we would do as a group is we would work to plan an event well. I mean, we would work together to do that, to put all the things that we've learned in class to practice. So I don't, I'm just saying, it's not going to be the same effect. But I'm going to try to share with you a few things. One question is planning with a purpose biblical? Is it a biblical thing? And I want to say this loudly. Absolutely. Okay. Yes, planning with a purpose is biblical. I can show you where we see this in action. Okay, Exodus 18 is one example, but when you have Jethro and Moses working together here, Moses was getting burned out. He was exhausted. He had 2 million people or more at his feet and asking him questions and carrying to him burdens, things like that. Jethro comes to Moses and saying, "This is not a good thing. You are wiping yourself out. You're gonna have to discipline yourself to separate these people and put them in different groups, and you're gonna have to trust other men to lead." And he said, some will be leading 10, some will be leading hundreds, some will be leading thousands at a time. But Moses, this is not a good thing. You can't oversee all of these people. You can't micromanage all of these people, and you can't attend to what's most important. So here's the plan. You're going to trust men to lead small groups of men or bigger groups of families, in the Israelite camp. Joshua 6 is another example. Joshua was given specific orders about how to conquer Jericho, take down the walls of the city of Jericho. And God gives him a specific plan to do that. And I believe this, if Joshua had not listened to God, if Joshua had followed his own rules and his own way and his own path, those walls would have never came down. So Joshua 6, we are reminded of the value of planning there. Nehemiah, I love the book of Nehemiah. I've kidded about it, but I'm serious too. When I write, and it's going to be down the road, but when I write my first book, it's going to be a book on life lessons from the book of Nehemiah, for a ministry. It's going to be a ministry related book called Stay on the Wall. I've already thought about the name of the book, and I already have the manuscript written out for it. I haven't gone to the next step. So you have Stay on the Wall, and the theme is how Nehemiah helped to rebuild the walls of the city of Jerusalem. But there was a plan in place. Nehemiah knew his job was not to rebuild the city. Nehemiah's job was to rebuild the walls around the city, and God in return used that to bring revival to God's people. We could go further, but when you think about Jesus and the ministry he had, when he leaves here, Matthew 28, Jesus gives the Great Commission, and that is organized intentional planning if you've ever seen it. Acts 1:8, Matthew 28, the way that Jesus brought out his plan. People are still following it today, and we will until he returns again. And then, of course, I have to think about the Apostle Paul, all of the epistles, okay, these letters that he wrote to these churches that he helped plant and lead and minister to. There again, you see it you see it as an example. Paul was a planner too. So is planning with a purpose biblical? Yes, and we can give you many, many more examples. All right, then I wanted to give you a few requirements for planning on purpose, and then we're going to be finished today. One is you have to plan quality events over quantity events, okay? And that means that you're going to have to determine what is important and what is valuable in your ministry or in your event. And listen, there's nothing wrong with asking the question, who am I trying to reach and why am I trying to reach them? And honestly, what are we meeting for? What are we wanting to see out of this? What are we wanting to see God do in the life of the student? But you have to plan quality over quantity. So many times, and I know this may not be the case today, especially with COVID, because COVID has slowed a lot of things down, even in the church, especially in the planning department. However, before that, and you're going to be tempted to do this as ministry ramps back up here in the United States, you are going to have to take it easy on the way that you plan, and you can't always have a youth event or youth happening. You have to plan well, and you're going to have to we're talking about quality. So for us, if we can get one quality event every 2.5, 3 months, okay, we're talking like on a quarterly basis, then I think that we're being successful in the way that we carry out student ministry. Because here's the thing, we're meeting with our kids once a week for Sunday school and once a week for youth group at church. And then when we go back to Sunday night church, we're going to have youth group on Sunday evenings every other week. They're going to have time to be together, okay? But when we do extracurricular things, I would rather, personally, I would rather build up an event, build up a happening. I would rather build it up well and over a long period of time, get a great following, have an awesome time on the event that we do, than plan 18 things that a handful of kids come to at a time, halfway done, half-heartedly carried out, and nobody grows, or nobody's excited about it, or you know what I'm saying? So quality over quantity means I'm not trying to build Rome in a day. I'm not trying to fill up their lives with activity to keep them too busy, you know, to mess up or to sin. We talk about that in 301. I'm honestly trying to plan and implement events that will change their life, and I'm focusing on key things. For the summer, our focus was service. Our focus was ministry. Our focus was getting them alone and talking to them about why we should love and serve others. And some of that is reaping fruit this week, because some of our youth have chosen, yet again, they served the week of youth camp, and they're back here for kids camp, and they're serving again. That is a blessing. Okay, so that week had fruit. It bore fruit, and it's showing off today and tomorrow as we finish out kids camp. But we're going to take a second approach. You know, when we get to October, we're going to be focusing on relationships. So we're going to be building some relationships when they go back to school. We're going to try to reach our community through a big bonfire event that we're going to do. The goal is to do it after a football game, but it looks like football may not happen. But we're still going to have a bonfire, and we're going to praise the Lord together, and we're going to worship the Lord together. So that may happen. All right, we're going to fast forward to November. We have every intention of bringing our students to Hilton Head, I think, for a weekend to worship. And our focus that weekend is worship. We want to get with God, and we want to praise the Lord together, and we want to lift up the Lord together. That is our goal. Okay, so I'm saying we have these different emphases here. We've got worship, we've got service, we've got relationships. You see, those are the things that we want to focus on for the rest of this year. When you plan a ministry event, a youth ministry event, when you plan, do you want to have purpose in your event? You're going to have to commit then to quality over quantity. All right. I want to share with you some other things. When I talk about determine, you have to determine what's important in your activities. Your priorities determine what's important in your activities. There's a list of things that you could be wanting your event to be about, and I give it through this acronym called relationships, and you'll see it on your class notes when you're filling those in. There's for every letter in the word relationship, I have something that you might want to focus on with the youth event. It might be about relationships. It might be about intimacy. It might be about laughter. It might be about transformation. It might be about worship. It might be about holiness. Okay, you can't work all of those in one event, but you can work some of those into one event. Okay, you have to make a commitment, though, to quality. I'm going to share with you another commitment that you'll need to make. Teamwork is going to have to be implemented over the one-man show. So here's just a quiz for you today. I'm using the example of our kids camp this week, and I'm using the example of our youth camp a few weeks back. So for youth camp, we only had about 14 students that were involved. And remember, these are youth, so we're talking teenagers. But how many people do you think I utilized to make that happen, to make ministry to 14 students happen? How many think that I utilized? Some might think maybe just a handful of people every single day. I had at least 6 on the ground, but I used over 10 people, maybe 11, that I can think of to carry out the youth camp for the week for 14 kids. Teamwork, and people had a role. I had people that were teaching. I had people that were preparing meals. I had parents that were bringing by meals and desserts. I had people that were helping us with our activities through the day. I had people that were helping us with our Bible study. So a lot of people involved. Okay, Now, how many people do you think we have involved for kids camp? We've got 36 children coming to kids camp. How many helpers do you think we have? Well, we have about 25 people that are investing time into these children, and they're not here all day. Some are here for just a few hours, some are here for just a few minutes, some are here the entire day. Okay, but there are different people that are being utilized to make kids camp happen, and we are committing to teamwork, okay, over a one-man show. Now there's a handful of folks here that want to be a one-man show, that know all the details but fail to share all the details. Okay, that's a leadership issue. That's not on the ones that are volunteering. If they're volunteering, they're here and they want to be a part. But there's benefits, okay, to working with a team when you're planning. We're talking about creativity, shared vision. There's more resources to work with, and ownership, enthusiasm. I'm saying you've got some benefits in working with a team in planning. I will always choose a team over the one-man show. Okay, and so here's the question. Okay, when we're planning events, when we're planning a calendar out, all these things, I'm asking this question. This is our final thing for the day. Who should be on the team? And I'm talking about who should be on your planning team. Who should be on the teams that you work with? Well, obviously you're going to want church staff, but here's the thing. You've got volunteers and students and other parents that can really help you make your youth ministry events run very well. Okay, but that's the question that's on the table, is who should be on the team. You have to ask God to help you discern who to ask and who to be a part. I believe that's on purpose too. If you're upset with the team that you've assembled, it's going to be on you, because I'm giving you the freedom. That's what we do here. I'm giving you the freedom to choose whom you would like to work with, and asking around who would you like to be on this team. Because I want people to be joyful about what they do, but I want people to be joyful about who they're working with, and so when we're asking that, how do I want this event to work out, and who do I want to help? You've got the opportunity to assemble your team for ministry. Detailed planning. This last thing is detailed planning over poor execution, or purposeful planning over poor execution. So for every single event that you do, for every single Bible study, I'm always wanting you to establish a defined purpose and outcome for every event. What would it look like if this event went really well, and then what would this event look like if our students had the time that we're expecting? What is the main goal? Who are we trying to reach? You've got to ask those questions. Establish a clearly defined purpose and outcome for every event. Cover the details in order to accomplish your purpose. Who, what, where, when, why, how. Okay, those need to be asked. And listen, focus on why you are doing what you are doing. And I'm stressing this to you today. I stress it. If you can't define a biblical purpose behind the event that you're carrying out, you should not do it at all. All right, there has to be purpose in the events that you do. It needs to be for the glory of God, yes, but it needs to be clearly defined so that no one's asking questions. Why are we doing this? What is the reason behind this? Okay, so those are some tips sharing with you today on purposely programming events that will change lives for eternity. That is our goal. So have a great week. I'm glad to see you all today, and I will catch you next time. Have a great end of the week.